Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Jasched. Today I'm very, very fortunate to have with me Casey Lyons, who is the CEO and co-founder of LIVIN. So thank you so much for joining me, Casey.
Pleasure to be here, Jess. Thank you for having me.
My
Thank you for your
pleasure.
patience too.
Oh, my pleasure. So, for those who don't know what LIVIN is a mental health education charity that turns 13 years old this year. But I do want to just include a very quick disclaimer. Obviously, we're not going into anything too heavy, but because of the nature of the organization and the topic around mental health, that's what we're talking about today. So if you are listening or watching and feel like you don't have the right support around that today or need to resource yourself in some way before you listen, please do so. But otherwise, we'll get into the conversation. Um, Casey, Livin's mission, rather, is it exists to create a future where suicide is no longer the number one killer of young Australians.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I ended that with a question mark because you know this. It began in the memory 13 years ago of your best mate who died by suicide. What is it like for you as a person, as a human, building something so substantial from a moment or a season or a time in life like that?
It's a good question. It's I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the thick of it, so I don't necessarily think of it from that 1,000 foot view.
Mm,
Think of it more from a next what's next mentality, or what do we need to do next mentality. Um, I don't know. I often think about Dwayne and the reason why we started, and I just I don't know. It's a great question, man. Like we've done so many amazing things. Like, what was the worst day of my life? And hopefully, I'll never have a worse day than that. Um, so many beautiful things have happened off the back of it. But if I had the opportunity, I'd give all of those things up to have him back here. But fortunately, we can't change what's happened. Dwayne was a giver. Dwayne loved people. Dwayne loved life. He truly did. And he was always looking after other people. So I suppose we still get to keep his spirit alive just through doing this work. Uh,
yeah.
he's still helping people every single day.
Do you want to share a little bit about what the work it is that Livin does?
Yeah.
And
So
I will add in a disclaimer, I'm a facilitator with Livin, so that's how we know each other and we met, but carry on.
right, and you must have listened very well at facilitator training, because you threw in the trigger warning at the start. Something
Mm.
that typical me fashion, I sometimes forget to do. Uh, the main thing we do is deliver education or mental health education into high schools, businesses, sporting clubs, community groups, right around this great country. Every single dollar we raise as a charity through all of our other activities go towards delivering it into high schools for free. And we've delivered that program to over 340,000 people now, um,
Wow.
to all parts of this great country. We've been in the middle of the most remote places in WA, 1,000 meters underground, in gold mines in WA, to the North Queensland, down to Tasmania. Like, we've been everywhere, and it's Darwin as well, which is humbling. We also sell Living branded apparel. That was started as a way to raise money for the charity, because we didn't know how to write grants, we didn't know how to do fundraising, or approach corporates. But we knew that if we sold clothes, we could, control an outcome. In early days, we donated the money to Headspace Southport. Um, we're also involved in many different types and forms of community-based events. That could be anything. Like, we've climbed up and down Castle Hill in Townsville for 24 hours with 500 people. To There's a lady in Mackay who runs a garage sale for us every single weekend,
Oh, wow.
out of her garage, and we get a donation every Monday or Tuesday whenever it lands in the account. And I'm lucky. My wife's from Mackay, so when we go up to visit her family, I get to go visit. I get to go visit her, and it's so cool. The things
Mm.
people do for our charity and to help us create a future where suicide is no longer the leading cause of death. It's humbling.
That's massive. But even 340,000 people, I just put that in like concert comparisons. So I'm like, that's about, including floor, like ground space, that's about what, 3.5 MCGs?
I related to MTG. I thought
Yeah.
you were about to say to 3.5 Tay Tay concerts or something.
Well, honestly, that's the comparison that I had in my head because I'm like, that's the only one that I'm really clocking the number of. So, yeah, it's massive. That's huge. And that's such an impact. Why is it important to be having these kinds of educational conversations, not just with children in obviously age appropriate ways, but also with adults?
Well, I reflect back to when I was in high school. We certainly learnt a little bit about physical health. We learnt about all these other things which I don't since remember, but I do know that a lot of those things weren't really applicable to my life moving forward. But one thing we never really learnt about was mental health, how to
Mm,
look after ourselves, how to look after the people around us, how to start important conversations, or also as simple as how to access support. We didn't learn this in school. So we also, early days, thought, well, the thinking was if we teach kids from a young age those skills, where to talk, how to support themselves, like that's a big part of what we do, as you know, self care, and it's so important. If we teach these people from a young age and equip them with these skills, hopefully they grow up and it's just second nature. Like we're not
mm,
trying to teach an old dog new tricks. That's why education was important because we also realized there are so many great service providers in this country. Um, and all different types of services available to people. Oftentimes, there's a few things stopping people from accessing, and one of the most simple forms, or one of the most simple barriers, is people just don't know where to look,
mm.
and they don't know
Yeah,
how to ask. People don't even know that you can go to your doctor and have a conversation and get what's known as a mental health care plan. Um, so some of our program can be quite basic, but unfortunately, people don't have any understanding of mental health, so it's an improvement on nothing.
yeah. I think, which is still obviously a massive improvement. And I think one of my favorite, and it's such a blip in the entire, the Live and Well presentation. One of my favorite moments is just highlighting, just like this moment of highlighting how the words mental health have a bit of a bad rap because it immediately comes with this kind of connotation of, oh, something must be wrong. But mental health is very much like physical health. It's a neutral, and then we can actually then go into the adjectives and describe it and learn how to describe it, obviously differently to physical health, which is often more visible, so it's a lot easier for people to access or see or notice. But yeah, I think I always see a few eyes kind of like lift a little when I just mention that one line of like, oh yeah, but it's like this. And they're like, oh yeah, because that can get in the way so often and we don't even realize it because yeah, like I've worked in organizations or been around people, been around people who, yeah, like if you talk about mental health or you just mention mental health, the assumption is that something's wrong, and it doesn't always have to be the case. It doesn't always have to mean something bad, which goes into the preventative element of it. Like you said, like it allows people to access more self-care or support or community support, friendship support, like whatever their community looks like or is, it allows more of that if we can dial down that stigma, I guess.
You're absolutely right. Like oftentimes people hear the term mental health, they automatically think mental ill health or mental
Mm,
illness. And we all have mental health, just like we all have physical health. We don't all have mental ill health in the same way
yeah.
we don't all have physical ill health. So I agree. I think it's an important concept for us to help people understand the difference and also help them
Mm,
establish where they sit on that continuum at any point in time and what they
yeah.
can do depending on where they sit.
Yeah, it's really like it's one of those moments where it's like knowledge really is power sometimes, and talking about it more really just removes a lot of the shame that can come along with it. Like I know um Brene Brown talks about shame. She's a shame researcher and she talks about it a lot. And I think this is from her where she talks about when shame is in the dark, that's where it festers and it grows and it's allowed to thrive. And when we can kind of have these conversations, we get to bring it out more into the light. So then the shame is removed and then you can just look at it and take care of it or tend to it as needed.
Have you ever seen Brene Brown
Not in
live?
person. No, yeah, not in person.
I had the absolute privilege of getting to hear her talk
Oh my God.
at a mental health conference in DC.
Oh, incredible.
She
It's
said a
just,
quote. Well, she said a lot of things, but one of the things that stood out to me, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but so powerful. And she said, because it resonated with something I was experiencing at the time. She said, "People are hard to hate close up, move in,"
mm,
and
yeah,
it's so true. Like we oftentimes we're passionate about what we want, and we don't quite understand what the other person wants. But if you
yeah,
then get a little bit closer, you understand. You kind of or you can understand that you might want the same thing, just in a different way.
yeah. I actually have a good example of that too. It's very timely. I yesterday morning I didn't have eggs for breakfast when I usually do, so I ducked out really quick to the Coles, and the car park's mostly empty. Got the eggs, walking back to the car, and a car is reversing. Just happened to be near my car, and then it just hit the front corner of the car, and I was like 2 meters away at that point, and did the whole like hand up, watching it happen in front of my face. And then as soon as it happened, like there's the video footage from the car where I'm just like immediately just like, oh, rubbing my head. And this process of like what you said about people are really hard to hate close up. I wasn't feeling hatred for this person at all in the first place, but I am feeling quite maybe a little overwhelmed this week just with a lot of work and things that I have to do. Like I'm finishing my master's, like I mentioned, and a lot of other work, and it's all good things, but I was already aware of that overwhelm. And as soon as she got it out of the car, it was so much easier, like just by looking at her. And obviously, she was remorseful, and like that made it helpful. But it was this process of switching from just maybe frustration, just internally, into, and I'm no angel, but like, yeah, just switching from frustration internally into recognizing that it's another human being in front of me and she's having a bad day. And she shared a little bit, like, she was just, I'm so sorry. I'm having a really bad day, like already. And it was 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, that's a really rough day for you. And just being able to step into that empathy because, and I think this is a good example across the board, not just with, car dings, but like it could be any one of us. Like, we could anyone who drives could be the person who just makes a mistake and, reverses into a car, like, or whatever it is. Like it could be any of us. So it's almost like treating ourselves and treating others like as if they are human, just like we are human. And it's very, it's the whole treat others as you would like to be treated, but it's sometimes we forget to actually act that way or behave that way rather. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that like that takeaway that you got from Queen Brene, as I call her. I think there's a lot in that though that goes into, even the importance of these conversations is people can be having a bad day and how can we treat ourselves with kindness and empathy and compassion when we're having a bad day, and also others around us instead of just being in reaction and reacting, you know, the way
I,
that our frustrations or our whatever might have us.
I agree. Yeah. Why make a bad day worse by
Yeah.
yeah,
And in this case, I literally said to her, I'm like, look, it's what insurance is for. This is literally what it like, so I was thinking about that and I know it's fresh, but it's also like I was thinking about that a lot over the last day because I'm like, yeah, I hate to be the whole cringe LinkedIn. Here's the lesson I learned from getting my car backed into, but it really is like a reminder of, oh yeah, like what's our own behaviors and support structures. I always liken the self-care pillars to like the foundation and support structures of a building that the stronger we build them, the more, inclement weather will come along as it will, and the stronger they are, the more they can withstand that, and the more that they can survive that and come through and go, all right, let's refortify or let's do what we need to do, and we're still upright. We're still
So, well,
we're still here.
your trip to get eggs sounds a lot worse than mine, and I still complain about mine.
Yeah.
We've got five chooks in the yard, and
Oh yeah.
walk 10 meters down to get chooks, and even that's too much sometimes.
Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes, sometimes it is. So I want to kind of revisit, if you will, a little bit of Casey from pre 13 years ago. And just in general, what kind of work were you doing beforehand, and how did you learn to apply it now into this mission, but also running a charity?
Great question, and I think I'm a little bit prepared for that because I kind of got asked a similar question earlier today on another.
There you go.
So early days or back before Living started, I was a carpenter here
Mm,
on the Gold Coast. A lot of my work at the time, we kind of went in a building boom at that stage. So a lot of the work was on the road in Brisbane, Ipswich, Gladstone, even a little bit of work in the mines. So, but I was also playing rugby league for Belly
mm,
Bears, and I probably just had a typical sort of life. Well, I had a great life. Um, a bit of a larrikin, or I don't know what you'd call me, but certainly enjoyed life and kind of lived for the moment. Wasn't really thinking too much about the future. Uh, and then when everything changed, like we knew straight away that we had to do something.
mm,
Um, and then when we sort of did a little bit of research and found out how big of a problem both suicide and mental ill health is in this country, we knew that we definitely had to do something. And yeah, so early days I was doing all three. I was a carpenter. That's what was paying the bills. I'd go to training most nights for 2 3 hours, come home, have dinner, and then I'd be up to 1 or 2 a.m. packing.
wow.
It was writing back to emails, but it was, I don't know. I miss the early days in a way because it's just so much enthusiasm. There's so much passion, and so much excitement because new things are getting thrown at you. And one thing we've always had from the very start is so much support. Uh,
Mm,
we wouldn't be here without the support that we received from, like, even down to someone reached out to us from a local law firm and helped set us up as a charity, pro bono. Uh, yeah, I can't speak highly enough of the support that we've received along the way. You yourself, Jess, all of the facilitators, you are amazing human beings that are a gift to the world. And like we are also so lucky to have you all, our volunteers, fundraisers, donors, and just our supporters. Grateful for all, like everyone. Um, I said earlier, it's taken us around this great country, met so many amazing people, but it's kind of sad. Like we are all connected through a shared grief, a shared understanding
yeah.
of grief. And early days, if you'd see someone wearing a Livin shirt, you'd get that nod, and it's a nod of understanding. You kind of get what each other's gone through or going through. Um, to answer your question, I had this, like, the skills trend, like everything
Mhm.
went on by doing for me. Sam,
Yeah.
co-founder, he had a little bit more of a business background, but for me, I think the passion is what drove me to just learn and to figure it out. And again, the people helped us along the way. There's no denying that, but a lot of it was just figuring it out.
Yeah.
We probably stuffed up a few things, no doubt, but early days when there's no dependables or dependents, sorry, you could make mistakes as long as you learned from them and didn't repeat.
Mm.
they weren't fatal.
I think there's something in that too. It's because it kind of speaks to, the psychology of giving things a go too, something that's new, something that's unknown, something that we haven't experienced before. Like that can apply in across the board in so many different ways. But I think it's a really good reminder and it's a really good thing for you to share the way you just did, of sometimes we won't always have the answers, but we don't actually always need the answers or need the know-how. Sometimes we just need to know what that next step is and have enough determination of some sort to just take that step and then we figure it out anyway. I think human beings, I know that, we all like in a variety of many different ways, we all collectively and individually and in different ways have those tough times. But I think that if I think having the reminder of we mostly always tend to figure it out.
Well, we've got to remember too that for everyone in this life, it's the first time we're doing this.
Yeah.
Like I'm a parent now. I got to remind myself it's my first time doing this. Even my parents, if they ever did the wrong thing, I need to remind myself it's their first
Mm.
time on this too. So I don't know. Yeah, have a crack and like early days, it's going to just don't make the same mistakes over and over again because I think that is someone's definition of stupidity.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Someone well known too.
Uh, I think from the very start, we just also did things differently, which probably
Yeah.
helped. But we had to do things differently because I don't know. I don't necessarily like to call us this, but we're trailblazers in a way, doing something
Mm.
or attacking a problem in a way it hadn't been attacked before.
Yeah.
Now there's so many other great organizations doing similar things in a slightly different way, but um, yeah, there was no manual. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. And you were like you guys have really cut through and created like a really clean path of how you did it. And like you said, you like you'd also probably have to do it differently if you were to start now, like start again now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just that reminder once again of, yeah, this is you just gotta the only way is through.
I, I say it regularly. There's no going around this. You just got to go through it. But
Yeah.
also ask for help when you need it. Uh,
Mm,
there's so many smarter people than myself or Sam involved with this charity, and we wouldn't be where we are without them.
yeah.
And
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
state that, like the support we received from everyone, just grateful.
Mm. How do you feel you have grown over the last 13 years?
Um, it's not something I've ever thought about.
Mm.
Probably a little bit guilty of always thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
I know I've definitely grown, and I'm probably lucky that I've got incredible access to a pretty good psychologist who
Excellent.
happens. So, these are sort of things we talk about, and um, I don't know. Maybe one day I can sort of sit down and reflect on those things, and
Hmm.
I'll be critical of some things, probably proud of some things. But I don't know. I think I'm probably just proud that we're still here and we can still um, positively affect change or affect positive change. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it's so understandable that you just focus on the next step because it's still an ongoing thing. It's not, there's no,
Still a big problem.
yeah, it's still a big problem, but you guys are still operating really strongly as well. And yeah, it's always just approaching I was going to say the market. That's not what I mean.
It's good. It's all like everyone understands the term.
Yeah, like you're approaching the market of society as you need to in order to keep getting the message out there because, even over the last 6 years, obviously since COVID, like a lot has changed. And like, I don't know, I remember when you guys were talking about the 10-year anniversary, and that feels like, I don't know, last week.
Yeah, it's well, we kind of are at that critical junction now where we're kind of we've been around for a generation,
Mm,
so we need to not reinvent ourselves, but we need
Yeah.
to adapt so that we're still relatable for this next generation and the generation we served. And I don't know, it's an exciting challenge.
Mm.
If we don't adapt properly, we could get swallowed up. But I don't know, like thinking or reflecting on your question with growth, like I'm a different person now to then. Like I'm a father. Well, sorry, I'm a husband. I wasn't a
Yeah.
husband when we started.
Yeah.
I'm a father. With that is a different sort of part of my life, which living was my number one priority, and now, yeah, of course, it's such a big priority for me. But number one priority are my wife and my kids.
Mm.
But it also is fueling my fire because I want my kids to grow up in a world where it ain't weak to speak and it's just second nature for them.
Mm.
I don't want them to ever experience what I experienced or any of their friends. So that Dwayne will always be the reason why we started. He's always at the very center of what we do, but what's now also important is to keep it going so my kids grow up in a better world in that aspect than what we grew up in.
Yeah. I think
Because
that's
everyone grow
important.
up in a better world because it's only getting worse every year. But from mental health perspective and access to support, etc., we can create a better world for them in that regard.
Yeah. And like I don't know if this is helpful for you or for anyone listening anyway. I've been reminded in a different area, more in the disability sports area actually, but like I've been reminded a lot lately, and I think this is true in the mental health area and people having more conversations just personally, like interpersonally with each other. I think a lot of people, there's a lot more of a lot of people doing a lot of the little progressive things than what we see or what you may even see, even though you would see a lot given your position and your work. But we're never in every conversation with everyone in like in Australia. Let's, even localize it there within Australia. But I think there is always more progress happening than what sometimes we feel like there is because that message is getting out and sometimes we'll get a glimpse of it or sometimes someone will let us in enough to kind of like mention it enough or whatever it is and you go oh that actually landed or oh that's stuck oh you guys are already having that conversation, great, that's such a good start, let's go, so I think I choose to believe that there is always more
I
happening.
hope so. And you said I might have access. I try and limit my access.
Mm,
Like especially now being a parent, I just try and stay away from the phone or the news or whatever as much as possible and just be with them.
yeah.
Try to.
That well,
I'm not.
that's the self-care too. That sounds like moderating social media use, Casey.
It's more for the trying to give attention to my kids. I'm not always perfect at it, but it's something I'm on.
Hmm.
Because there'll be a day not too far in the future where they don't want to know who I am.
Yeah, but then I'll come back around anyway. They'll
One
figure it out.
whenever wedding or the the new company.
Oh,
Well,
oh no.
no, that's life. It's how it is. But yeah, at the moment, their mother and I are the center of their universe, and we can't
Hmm.
take that for granted.
Yeah, I think that's a really important reminder as well. Just having things I think having work that we do is really important that fulfills us, but also having personal lives and connections and real community and friendships and family, whether that's, adopted family or chosen family or otherwise, I think having those things and feeding into those things actually is what also helps as well. So that's
Number one,
always a good reminder.
the resilience and happiness is our connections and our
Mm,
relationships. So we they are so important for our health and our longevity,
mm,
not
yeah.
just mental but physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, very important to me. So yeah, I probably don't have as much access as I probably should, but for good reason.
Yeah, well, I think, and that's intentional too. And I think, yeah, you're right. The kids will probably, because they're still young, so they would still have your physical health will be
My wife
active.
and wife.
Yeah. So tell us about the Live and Better challenge that is happening in May.
So
Wearing the shirt.
yes, thank you. The Live and Better Challenge. Through May, we are encouraging people to walk 9,000 steps every single. Well, firstly, they got to sign up,
Hmm.
liveandbetter.org, and then we're encouraging participants to walk 9,000 steps every single day. That represents the 9 lives we lose to suicide each day. Along the way, we're also going to be sending out plenty of content for some. I've just had a mind blank.
For some useful tools and resources and
Since I've had one of them, yes.
that's a guess.
Yeah, so there's 4 categories
Mm,
that we're going to be introducing throughout the challenge, and ultimately it's just to provide you with some tools and how you can look after your mental health in a positive way. Um, but yeah, the main part of it is the 9,000 steps every single day. So we encourage you to challenge a mate, or sign up as a workplace, and let's see who can walk the most steps. Yeah, there's a fundraising element to it, but we really want people outdoors,
mm.
preferably outdoors, walking in the sunshine. It's great for us, but also hopefully with a friend and having some great conversations and connecting. So all these things are good for our mental health. Um, so yeah, let's see where that goes. But
Yeah.
next Friday that kicks off on the 1st of May, and yeah, really excited to see some of the content that comes in our way from all the participants, and where they're doing the challenge.
Yeah.
I want to
I
sort
think,
of see what it does to their lives.
yeah, that's a really good point because I think what you guys are really good at in the different ways, but you've always been really good at in all the variety of ways is community building and community connection.
We've tried, like, that is definitely by design, and I said earlier, like, we're at that time now where we've had that first generation, and we need to ensure that community is still at the very heart of what we do, because we would not be here without our community. So there's been times where we haven't been perfect, and
Hmm.
we're always considering the community, but they might not have felt as though they've been the first thought, but it's just something we've always got to keep at the very core of what we do, community.
Yeah.
So
Well, one thing I will tell you is I still remember the the facilitator training, but the feeling of it and the experience of it and having this realization, like looking around the room and listening to everyone share, having this realization of what a values alignment there was because like no one was there to kind of be in competition with each other or anything weird like that because that's not the point and but everyone was there and everyone was there to care really and I just remember that feeling and going oh this exists wow.
it is. We feel that too,
Mm,
and it was a long process, and it's still not a perfect process. But one thing we've realized off the back of that, and this wasn't intentional at the start, but trying to create a program around that itself that we
mm,
sell to corporates. So um, they'll the corporates will go through it. They won't become facilitators at the end, but that feeling is real, and certain things I'm not going to give away, but um, we just feel as though people will retain that knowledge a lot more through some of the practices that we adopt through facilitator training.
mm.
Having
Yeah.
learned to present the program back, you're going to retain that knowledge. Having to sing in front of the crowd, remember that?
Yeah, that was my nightmare. But it felt like it, I actually, honestly, I didn't remember that until you brought it up. So there you go. I either blocked it out or it wasn't as big a deal as it could be because it was just like, oh, we're in a safe space. It's fine.
Absolutely. So, there, like, we just, upon reflection, we just sat back and go, well, I think there's something here. Like, there's a program we could create here, and
Mm,
it's not necessarily available yet. There's a bit of a pilot going on with a big
mm,
corporate, but hopefully that's something we can roll out because of what you said, that feeling, and that feeling of safety too.
mm.
Uh, yeah, so we'll see. see what happens.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for that little teaser.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join me and to talk about your experience, but also Livin and everything that Livin's doing and everything that it stands for and all of that importance. It is really important, and I'm really glad to have you on. So thank you.
Jess, thank you for having me, but thank you for everything you do for living. We wouldn't exist without you and your colleagues or your fellow facilitators, and yeah, you're all just amazing humans in your own. And the great thing is, you're similar in the fact you want to affect change, but you're all
Mm.
different too. There's no
Yeah.
out of there, and it's really good. So how can people book you at home?
Oh my God. How can people book, as in a Livin session?
Yeah, how do they do that? How do they get you in their workplace?
Oh, they can go to the link that I'll include in the caption in the show notes,
Like,
and yeah, you can book a live-in session and a live-in well session
and
for
request.
your. Oh, and you can request me for sure.
It's yeah, I think it's like a proud dad. I sit there at the end of facilitator training, and I probably should have touched on this a moment ago. The
Mm,
growth from start to finish in people,
mm,
it's kind of like a flower. Like at the start, you're not quite open yet, but by the end, you're open and you've blossomed, and it's just so great to see everyone on that journey at facilitator training. But then as you grow after it as well,
mm.
so yeah, thank you for everything you've done, and to all our other facilitators too. Great humans.
My pleasure.